Hello, this is Greg Brzezinski for Beardbrand, and I'm here at the Men's Club Barbershop in Philadelphia with
Jake the Barber.
And he's going to sort out this mess. What I'm thinking is I want to cut my hair off in 2 phases.
Okay.
And so what can you do to keep actually most of this without looking like I'm trying to wear a man bun?
Okay, so do you want to keep, we can keep all of it if you don't mind the overhang.
I don't mind the overhang. I mean, is there, I don't want it up to 0. And,
Right. I remember the picture you showed me it looked like there was some weight there, a good amount of weight.
Right.
And I think it was skin, right? The picture you showed me?
Yeah, I'm okay with its skin, but I don't want skin up to the part.
Right.
Yeah.
I can give you like a mid-skin fade. Section this off like it's sort of a disconnect or an undercut. Bring this up kind of short on the side, but not buzzed. Kind of like my sides. So you see how mine are skin, and there's still like all this weight here,
Yep.
and it's not 0 up to the part, and
Yeah,
then
that's what
have it like a disconnect, like an undercut.
Yep.
And leave most of the top, and if we have to cut the top, we will.
Okay.
Kind of like your call.
I have a bit of gel in my hair.
Okay. So it looks like this hair naturally falls this way, and I don't like to fight the hair. So when the hair is just cooperating with me the most, and that's why I like to part it. Really, I try to stay away from forcing your hair to go where it doesn't want to go, because then when it dries, it's when you run into a problem. So I just try to find where it naturally parts, and it can take a little while, but I just want to make sure, because this is crucial. We don't want to damage the goods here. But ideally, I really want to leave a lot of weight in these areas, so it doesn't look like so much of an undercut. You can kind of wear it. This is obviously going to hang, but it can look almost blended.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to skin you up to, like you were saying, up to the part. So I'm going to take a number 2, and that's just going to knock out a lot of this bulk here. And I like to take a 2 guard because it's pretty foolproof. And I keep it low on something like this. I can always go higher on a haircut like this. You can always take more hair off. You cannot put more hair on. So that's a rule of thumb. Always do what you can fix. So I'm just going to take this number 2 all the way around the head, leaving weight here. I actually have Brzezinski tattooed on my hand, as you can see. So I'm going to take my 000 and I'm going to create a skin line about 2 inches below the number 2 line here. To really start that skin fade. So I'm going to take my detailers and I'm just going to take away this stubble here that's left, that the 000 left. So I'm just knocking off this stubble with the detailer. And you just want to flick your wrist here so you don't really create any hard lines up towards the top. So I'm going to take the Andis balding clipper. This is a foil shaver, and just take it just below where I had that other clipper, taking off the stubble. And this is going to really eliminate the stubble, and it's going to make your fade pop. any remaining lines that I see, I'll just knock down with these detailers that I had before. Next, got my Annis Master. It's an adjustable clipper, all the way open. And I'll put a line, so it's pretty much like a 1, right below that 2 line that I put in before. I'll just go all the way around the head with it, about an inch below the number 2 line. I'll just close it a little bit as I go. And that's going to knock this line out. I'm just chipping away at these hairs. A little bit more. You can always hear the hair cutting. If you don't hear the hair cutting, there's no hair being cut.
What's your preference in tying a bald fade into a beard?
I do the same thing, just a reverse steps. So I really don't need all the guards to knock this line out. Really, I like to take the master all the way open, just a small, maybe like a 1/2 inch, fade that line out, and then you just kind of corner away just a little bit and chip it away. You don't ever want to take it down too low. It's like a no-no for beards, especially a beard like that. You don't want to take it halfway down the cheek, you know. So I'll put my 1 on, and I like to work from side to side. So I stay on this side once I really start getting into the fade. I knocked that line out, the master all the way open, right? And I took it down to 0. And I met that first line that I put in with the 000, right? With the master. Now I'll put a 1 on, same steps, all the way open. And I'll just fade down. And I come right below with the 1 all the way open, which is almost a 2, I come right below the actual 2 line that I put in initially. And I close as I go down. I like to fade down.
So I talked to other barbers about cutting gray hair. Any thoughts, any difference?
It's actually easier in my opinion. Yeah.
And why is that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I guess it blends with the scalp a little better, so if there is imperfections, they're invisible. With dark hair, it's really hard because you can see every imperfection, especially on a light scalp. So it's like having black paint on a white piece of paper. You know, you can see it so well. If you put a gray line on a white piece of paper, it's much harder to see. I guess that's the best way I can describe it.
So you can be sloppy on my gray hair, is that?
Absolutely. I actually have my eyes closed for this beard line. I don't like to leave a hard line when I put that skin line in right here. I like to just kind of corner this out so there's not a hard line. So now I'm going to work on this half line that I put in. I'm just finishing out the fade with this 1 guard on right now, just kind of cornering it and chipping away at any little imperfections I see before I break out the shears. Just want to make sure all my clipper work is done. So for this part right here, before I get into the top, I like to take care of the sides. And for hair like this, it's very straight and it tends to poke out. So what I'll do before I come in with shears is I'll actually get the comb, I'll get the clippers, and just kind of knock off these edges before I even break out the shears. It kind of just saves me some work, knocks down some of this weight here. now that a lot of that bulk is removed, it's going to be less work for the shears. And I really like to use shears for this part because it's fine tuning everything and I have control of what I'm doing with these. So I just kind of come in and chip away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this out a bit with the thinning shears. So after I smooth it out with the normal shears, I just kind of want to take some weight out of here before I get into the top. And the top really doesn't need much work. Just kind of eliminate this edge here.
Do people ask for a square back?
Yeah, but I try to talk them out of it because it grows back and it looks kind of funky. I try to tape everything out. So like the back, I like to, if this is the back of your head, just kind of fade out gradually into the longer hair because it grows in naturally. If you square this, it'll be like me putting a hard line all the way around your head, if that makes sense. So this is all going to be stubble down here, and this is going to be significantly bigger or longer, the length of the hair. So with the top, Greg said he's trying to keep most of the length on top. So now that the sides are done, we can get into the top. And I usually cut the top first and then cut the sides, but for this style, I like to cut the sides first because if I try to cut the top, I would have to cut the top, then section it, then cut the sides. So I like to cut the sides first. So I'm going to try to do not a whole lot on top. I'm just going to check it out. Wet it down, check it out, cut where I need to cut.
Yeah, I want to be able to part it and
Sure.
wear it rather as conservative as a bald fade can look. But.
Absolutely, but still some style. I'm gonna take a little bit off, just kind of get the ends off.
I mean, the top literally hasn't been cut in probably 6 months.
Since Justin, maybe?
Yeah.
Since that one video? Not the last one, right? Like the one before that?
Yeah.
Probably? Yeah.
Maybe even back to December.
Oh, wow.
How are you deciding on length here?
I'm just following the contour of the head. So I like to have, for a style like this, the front of the head, I like this hair to be maybe an inch or so longer than the back, because so for the back on the undercut, I like the overhang, but I kind of want to mask the overhang in the back if he's wearing a straight back with the fade, the length of the fade. So I like to make it just short enough where it's not going to stick up, but it's also kind of hidden by the heaviness of this. So I like to make it a bit longer in the front. I'm just evening out the back here just a bit, just in case we want to go straight back so it looks more natural, but probably going to go a little off to the side here, but we can go straight back if we want. Really go to either side, but if we're going straight back, I like to make this look as even as possible. So, it pretty much completes it. I'm just going to kind of fine tune it just a bit, get the sides in order.
Greg, what kind of products, how do you plan to style this when it's done?
One of the ways, I think I want to kind of slick it back, but I think I can also part it hard and still keep it like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I sectioned it out and I left the weight. So it's, you can have like the classic look, like the classic parted look, and you just use your product and put it this way and this way, or you can go straight back with it, cover the parts. Or you can even go this way and get more of a less parted look on this side, but an undercut look on the other side. So you can do a few things as long as you have the right product. How's that look?
Good.
Cool.
You just want to put a little
Absolutely.
stuff right here.
Yeah. Let's whisper. Is this for the Beardbrand? This video?
Justin's one video has, I think, 350,000 views.
No way.
The club, let's go clubbing, I think we called it or something.
Oh, cool. How's that look?
How about just pushing it forward a little bit?
The front here?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you going for some volume? Is that what you want to do?
Can I give it a try?
Absolutely.
I don't know how that looks back there, but
Looks good. It looks more of a blended look back here. Still the undercut, but
because that's probably how I'll wear it to work.
okay, cool.
Does that look okay?
Looks great. Looks fantastic. Now this is one of the most important and overlooked parts of every haircut. The neck hair. Make sure you get all the neck hair. All right. That wraps it up. What's up everybody, it's Jake the Barber and I'm with my friend Scott at the Men's Club Barbershop in Philadelphia, PA. And today we're going to do a skin fade and a beard trim with a style top. Okay guys, I'm going to start with my wall senior all the way closed. So it's a 0. And we're going to put that initial line in. Scott gets a relatively high fade, so I'm going to take the first line a little higher than I normally would. I want to dip it down just a tad in the back to follow the contour of the head. So now I'm going to get a detailer, and this is adjusted. This is bumped up a little more than the factory setting, so I'm going to just take the rest of that stubble off and the remainder of the hair that's below this line that we created with our senior. All right, just kind of gliding, knocking this hair off. And our fade really starts here. All right. Just making sure we're getting all this stubble down to almost nothing, because right after this we're going to come in with the foil shaver and really bald his head out. We want to just brush all this excess hair off of his head before we go in with this so it doesn't miss any hair. So we're going to get our shaver, and we're just going to go a little bit below what we were doing with the detailer. You don't want to go too high with this, because this could leave a line that's really hard to get out. So it can be kind of hard to cut, but the best way is the feel check. So it feels good. It's bald. Next, we're gonna get our Andis Master all the way open. So it's on its biggest setting, right? And you wanna come just about an inch above that first bald line, right? So you just make our guideline here and you're flicking out. Whenever you're cutting, you wanna flick out, right? So that helps eliminate those hard lines that are hard to fade out. Just kind of flicking out, go around the head. And as I'm doing this, I'm turning the chair with my other hand. It just makes my life a lot easier. After we have that guideline set in there, you just want to go down just a little bit, not all the way open, but almost. And you want to go right below that line we just set. And just flicking it out. Just kind of using the corner of the clipper. I'm not like digging into the fade. I'm just kind of chipping it away. It's almost like you're erasing. And I like to keep one side at a time. So I don't like to keep spinning the chair back and forth. Saves a lot of time this way. You just kind of close your clipper as you go a little lower than the last time. Almost all the way closed. The line's almost gone. I can still see it a little bit. You can hear it cutting. And close it all the way. All right, now that line is faded out. Go to my other side, same thing. All right. Now what I'll do next is I'll take a 2, closed, so it's a true 2, and I'll just go about an inch above where I made that first line. You want to keep the fade proportionate. So every step I like to take just about an inch. All right, and I'll take the 2 all the way around the head, dropping it down just a little bit in the back, keep the contour of the head. Just flick that out, and that's going to eliminate any trouble about blending the clippers to the shears. I'll put my 1 on, all the way open, and I'm just going to do that same technique I did at first, where I start right below the line with your clipper all the way open. So this is almost a 2. This is a 1, but it's all the way open, so it's almost a 2. So I'm just going to go right below my 2 and just flicking it out, staying on one side to make my life a lot easier. Right? Close it just a little bit more. You're just going back and forth. You can hear the hair cutting. And after I do that, I like to take the 1 off, open the clipper all the way, and just kind of chip away in certain areas. If I see something a little bit more heavier, I like to just corner it. Just clean it up. That looks pretty good. You can always come back to certain areas, but you always want to keep it moving, especially in the barbershop. Time is money. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. 1 clip on the master all the way open, so it's almost a 2, right? We're just going to go back and forth. And we're going to do the same thing on the back to meet both sides of the fade, all the way open. Just kind of want to corner this, clean it up just a bit before we move on to our next step. Now I like to do all my clipper work before I get into any shear work. So Scott likes his beard nice and clean, so what we're going to do is we're just going to fade out this hard line into his beard. And you don't really need any guards or anything for that. So what I like to do is I start with my clipper, this is a Wall Senior. It's pretty much the same thing as the Andis Master, but I like it because it's cordless for beards. So I'll just kind of really tap this area. I really don't need much, and I'm just opening it a little bit as I go down, and I'm using my corner. You never want to go in because you're going to take a nice chunk out of the beard, and this area is really sensitive, and if you're not careful, you can end up all the way down here. So you just want to stay up towards the top and just kind of opening it as you go down. And just using your corner, just kind of chiseling it away. You don't want to get too crazy with this. Don't ever overthink this area. And there you go, the line is gone. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to blow dry it from underneath. Really open it up. This hair up here. That's that. I'm just going to have a downward motion with my clipper. He really doesn't want a lot of length taken off. He just wants it clean looking. So to achieve that, I'm going to have my clipper all the way closed so it's a 0, and really carefully just going down on the beard in this motion. I'm just getting rid of those strays. Really not taking much off. And when I do this, I like to have a hard background, like the floor here, so I can see what I'm doing. Because if you just have open space, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. So if you have like a nice strong background, you can really see what's going on, and what hairs are poking out and what are. Alright, now that that's done, the beard's sculpted, so what I like to do is these little strays here, and I'm really careful in this area. You don't want to bring this all the way in, but there is some excess hair here. And I just like to get my detailer here and kind of just clean it up. You don't want to go too far into the beard, or really at all into the beard, but you want to get the hair off the neck and really make it look clean. Now we'll get to this mustache. My dry scalp. So what I'll do is, since his mustache is long, and he likes to keep some mustache, but not all of it, is I'll just do a clipper over comb technique. Comb it out. We'll get under there. Just kind of come like this. You don't want to kill the mustache. Now the mustache is under control, like you take the hair off the upper lip here, and you just want to kind of draw it. Use your corners. And be careful, guys, because this is a really unforgiving tool. Now Scott likes a sharp line on his beard, so what I like to do is I use a hairspray. I spray it on the outer line of the beard and the cheek, and what happens is this acts as like a dry shave gel. I don't really like to use shave gel if I don't have to, and this is going to add to a very crispy beard lineup. So I just spray that. I'll let that dry out, and then we'll go right into our shear work. All right. So we're just gonna texturize the top a little bit, and we're gonna blend the fade into this area. So wet down the head. You don't really need to wet it down too much. We're just gonna take a little bit off. It's really long in the front, so we're just gonna take a little bit off as we go around. Just in sections. And this doesn't have to be perfect, guys, because we're going for a textured top, so it doesn't have to be completely one length. It's better if it's a few different lengths. So I won't cross-check it because it'll help for the textured finish. Normally I would cut this way and then I would cross-check this way, but in this case, for this cut, I won't. It also saves time, but adds to the textured finish that we're trying to achieve. So now we're going to blend the clipper part of the haircut into the shear part of the haircut. Now that we took the proper length off of the top, just want to comb this out, get it ready to be blended. We're just going to do a shear over comb technique to blend this top. And there's not a whole lot that needs to be done here. As you can see, you're just kind of fading it in. And it's the same thing with the clippers. You're just doing that C stroke and you're fading out. You don't want to go in because you're going to leave a line. If there's any extra line, we'll go in with our thinning shears and we'll just kind of get that little line out. But until then, we'll just blend with these. So what we're doing now is just our final touch on the cut. We're just going to blend this little area in here. And we'll kind of sweep through with the thinning shears before we style it. And lastly, we'll line this cheek line up with a straight razor because that hairspray is drying, or it's fully dry now and it's ready to be lined up. Just a few more steps left. We'll clear this line out right here. There's a bit of a line, and then we'll just kind of run it through the top so it helps with the textured finish. So we're going to comb all this down. We'll just kind of go through with the thinning shears. And you don't want to kill it with the thinning shears. Just want to hit the ends of it here, run it through. Same technique as what we did earlier with the shear over comb. Just lifting it. And I like to pull away with the thinning shears. These are just sharpened too, so it's not going to pull any hair. All right, comb it down. Just a little run through. I'll line it up a little bit again. Alright, so last, I'm just going to line this beard up, right? That hairspray, remember we sprayed that on earlier. And we're just going to, pull the skin. And you're just going to get that motion right here. You want to keep your blade moving and be pretty delicate, but don't be too afraid. So I'm going to get that beard shape. So I'm going to see what I'm doing. That's why I like to use the hairspray, so you can see what you're doing. There you have it. I'm just going to dust them off, give it a once over. If we see anything, just clean it up. I'm going to get this neck hair off. Remember, we never want to leave the neck hair. That goes for underneath as well. Clean this up. Get rid of some of these strays here. So I'm going to use a sea salt spray to get that textured dry finish. And we have here a spiced citrus sea salt spray by Beardbrand. So we're just going to douse the head down with it. Just kind of working it through with our hands. Just want to dry with your hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a matte paste And just kind of twist up certain areas. Hit on both hands. You don't want to focus too much on one spike. Just moving. And there you have it. Texture top, skin fade with a beard trim on my tattooed brother Scott.
Well, it was kind of nerve-wracking coming up here, but too late now.
It's over.
Right?
Yeah, it's on the ground. What's up, guys? It's Jake the Barber, and I'm here at the Men's Club Barbershop in Philadelphia, PA. And today, we have a project. And so you want something like this, but you said you want it like a skin fade?
Something,
like
something close. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
and what about the beard?
Beard, I mean, we're going to take it pretty short and fade it down in.
Okay, cool. I got you.
Right.
No problem. All right, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take number 3, and I'm just going to knock down most of this bulk. It's a lot of hair, dude. Crazy.
Hey, you could have donated it.
Yeah, I think the last time I cut it, I was headed to the beach also.
Really?
Yeah.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know, right?
That's it.
That's insane.
You guys going to charge me a cleanup fee, right?
That's wild. All right, so now I'm going to take my 0.
You're going to the beach.
Yes, sir.
You take some sunscreen with you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You got some white balls here.
Yep. I'm going to take my trimmer. I'm going to knock down all this stubble. So now I'm going to get the shaver. And I'm going to knock all the rest down, but I'm going to make sure I stay below where I was with the trimmer.
Barbershop feel like you're getting nothing away.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is the mask, but it's...
What now?
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, everything's everything. Really? That short?
Or maybe, yeah. Tiny bit of hair in the other thing.
Yeah, that'll really, they're gonna hate it. People are gonna hate it. But you know that. I'm gonna take my clipper all the way open. I'm gonna go up just about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I'm gradually gonna fade down. So I'm gonna close my clipper just a little bit each time, and I'm gonna go a little lower every time I close it.
So initially, I used to just have like a 1/4 inch buzz cut all the way around. And back in 2012, I guess it was, I started growing it out just to see what my hair looked like. And 4 years went by, and then, I don't know, just decided to get it cut, and then I just didn't get it cut since. So yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Maniac.
I know, right?
This guy's a maniac. So I'm gonna get my 1.5 guard, and I'm gonna go up just about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, similar to what I did with no guard. So I'm gonna get my 1 guard all the way open and close it just a little bit and go right below. Close it a little bit more. And you can see I'm just using my corner of the clipper. So I'm just feathering this in. All right, now I'm gonna repeat those steps on the other side.
He's got a little knob on his head there. What do you do with that?
This?
This one.
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna use my corners to fade that out. You just have to use a little extra care. Little
Or
knob.
your mama dropped you.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, you should still be enjoying your life, even if you can't do a big party.
We got back from Vegas like the week before everything shut
Really?
down. Yeah, my sister got married on February 29th.
I got
last year.
back from Los Angeles like about 10 days before everything shut down.
I got you all beat. I got back from Austin, Texas, Beardbrand Alliance
While it was shut down.
conference.
Yeah.
The day that I think we shut down.
I had COVID. I couldn't go to it. You remember that? Yeah, that was nuts.
That's right.
Dude. I was so sick. I was sick in LA. I got home and then
Are you patient zero?
dude, I think I am. Like, that's what. Now I'm gonna get my half clip and just kind of polish some of these areas. All right, so for now the fade looks good. I'm just gonna wet down the hair and shear the top.
I didn't even tell anybody that I was getting my hair
No?
cut. Nah.
Yeah, big change.
Gotta keep them guessing.
That's how I am. I don't tell anyone anything.
5 years is a long time. People, even
They're not even gonna recognize you at all, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm just gonna shear over comb this to blend the fade to the top.
Yeah, it's like swollen enough, or like a little swollen section.
Yeah, so they were talking about like actually getting it back.
It's gotta be a little bit rough.
I'm gonna get my clipper and put the 1.5 back on. I'm gonna open it just a little bit and use my corners just to blend some of these areas a little better. So now I'm gonna go to the beard. Take the guard off, close the clipper. I'm just gonna fade this downward.
I went down to Florida for my sister's graduation. I was giving my parents props because they're having why they just declared a state of emergency for that.
Thought that was like one of his long hairs, like stuck in there. So whenever I do a beard, I make sure I comb it out a bunch of times because clippers have the tendency to push hair. So as long as you comb it out, you won't miss any hair.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, just stuff like that, and then just in the
That's something new.
yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna spray the hairline and cheek with the hairspray and let that dry. I'm gonna get my detailer and just sharpen up these lines, get the hair off the ears, everything.
But this place is a lot better than a lot of other places on
All right, now I'm just gonna give it a little blow dry before the straight razor.
A pile of hair on the floor is wild.
Dude, there's so much hair, bro. That's crazy, dude. That's really like a lot of hair, dude. So I want to make sure I evenly distribute the product and just rake it in. All right, now I'm going to give it a straight razor finish. All right, there we have it.
What do you think?
Awesome.
It's huge difference.
Hell yeah.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Awesome, bro.
Hell yeah.
It looks like a happy man there. You know?
Yeah, of course. 100%.
Look good before, look great now.
Yeah, right. Welcome back to society.
Yeah, bro, welcome back. Now you can get a corporate job.
Yeah.
You're corporate ready.
You drove 2.5 hours to get a haircut.
Yes, sir.
How'd you find this place?
I've been following Beardbrand for a while, and then saw a video with Jake cutting your hair, and figured I'd come up and get a haircut.
Great. Loving this.
Right?
That's determination. That's determination, folks.
There it is.
What's up, everybody? It's Jake the Barber, and I'm here with my boy Ed. And today we're going to do a nice transformation. So we're going to take this and we're going to turn it into a nice gentleman's cut. So first thing I'm going to do is wet the hair down. Then I'm going to make my blueprint. So I'm going to find my part. How long has it been since you had a haircut, Ed?
6 months.
6 months. Okay, so we're 6 month mark here. It's pretty long. So I'm just gonna find my blueprint here. I don't want it to be too sharp, but I also want to make sure I'm cutting what's supposed to be cut and not cutting what's not supposed to be cut. Okay, so now that the hair is parted and separated, I know what I want to cut. So I'm going to take a 3 and I want to keep it really low because I'm going to use a lot of shears for this haircut. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to use my comb. I'm using my comb as a guideline. Alright, so now I'm just going to go in with my 2. Since I removed all this bulk with my 3, I'm just going to taper in the sideburn to the beard. And I'm going to taper the back out a little bit. And I'm going to leave room to shape all this up. So I'm going to have a really clean finish before I go in with my shears. So I'm going to take my 2. I want the sideburns to taper into the beard as natural as possible. Since we're really not going for a super sharp look and more of a gentleman's classic cut, I don't want it to be super tapered and faded out like a blowout or a taper fade. Very, very lightly if I do. So now I'm gonna get my 1. Now remember, I went in with a 2 to about here. So I'm gonna open my 1 just a little bit. Try to blend it to the beard as much as possible. I'm gonna go downward because this hair, this calic here is growing up. So in order to take that down, I have to cut downward. Then I'll turn it around and just really lightly tapering this out. Open it gradually. Just use my corners. I'm just going to take this neck area down to stubble, so I'm going to close my clipper all the way. Open it a little bit as I go, very, very lightly. I want this to just be a very modest taper. Alright, so now I'm just going to do some bulk removal. So I'm going to do clipper over comb. So I'm going to go in, lift the hair up, get my clipper on the edge of my comb, and just be careful not to cut into the hair. So you can see what needs to be cut. I'll polish it off with the shears after. This just saves me a lot of energy. I have to cut all day, so I like to conserve as much energy as possible. So instead of going in with the shears over and over again, I can simply just pick the hair up with the comb, slide the clipper right over. Position the head so you can see what you're doing, and same thing. Now you have to be very careful with this technique, because if you go in and chop this, you're going to see this. It's going to show. Alright, so before I go in with the shears, I'm going to shape this haircut up. So I'm going to start with the neck area, and I want to follow this pattern. Alright, so now that the clipper work's out of the way, just wet the head down again like I did to begin with. And I'm just going to start right here on the right side. Take some length off, and then before I finish it, I want to throw some texture in there. You know, just for the end to style it with product, it always helps if there's some texture after you take some length off, because the longer hair is supported by shorter hair. So I'm just going to run through the top, lose some length, not too much. Ed said he likes it a bit longer on top, but I don't want to have it look like an undercut where it's hanging over the side. I want it to be a nice, smooth transition. Alright, so now I'm just going to run through the top again. And I'm just going to point cut. Bigger sections of texture. I don't want to go in perfectly. I just want it to be a texturized haircut. So I'm going to go on an angle. Alright, so now I'm going to do shear over comb. Similar to what I did with the clipper over comb. I'm just going to finish this off so you can see how it's dark right here. Alright, so now the hair is cut. I'm gonna take my 4 Vices styling balm, get a nice sized glob, and I want to evenly distribute it on my hands. So I just want to take some sea salt spray, open this bad boy up. And just mist it on. And that way I'll give a nice beachy finish, nice natural dry finish. And also I can style it when it's wet and it'll dry really nice. Alright, so now for this cut, what I like to do is I'll take my comb right above the part, and I'll start in the middle, the back to middle, comb down, and then I'll take the front, and that way it has something to balance on, a shelf if you will. So then I just comb the front over, and then I'll use my hands just to create that wavy finish, and not super perfect with the comb. I like to create a little bit of an edge to it. Cool, there you have it.
What's up everybody, it's Jake the Barber and I'm here at the Men's Club Barbershop in Philadelphia, PA. And I'm here with this guy I found on the street. What's your name?
Carlos Costa.
Today we're gonna do a low skin fade. We're gonna do a drop a drop fade, so it's gonna follow the contour of the head. I'm gonna fade the beard into the face here, and I'm gonna take a little bit of hair off the mustache. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a skin line in. So I'm gonna start low on the beard. I come up. And make sure I angle it down. And I'll meet in the back. Next, I'm gonna get my detailer. Just get rid of this hair below. I'm not gonna go into that line. I don't wanna create lines. And when I get towards the top, I'll just transition to my corners. So I'm gonna use the whole clipper, and then when I get close to this area, I'm just gonna use the corner.
Man, if I fall asleep, maybe I have to glue my head.
I'll wake you up, buddy, don't worry. I got you. So now I'm gonna get the shaver. I'm gonna start at the bottom. You have to be careful with this step that you don't create lines. They're hard to get out, so you wanna just kind of be modest with this, especially with a low fade, and I'm gonna do the same thing. When I get towards the upper part, I'm just gonna use the corners. So I'm gonna get the 1.5. I'm just gonna take it to about the arch here. Same thing on this side. So now I'm gonna put the half guard on. I'm gonna go halfway into what I just did. And I'm always following the contour. So everything I do, I wanna follow the same pattern. So now I'm really just gonna stay on one side of the head to concentrate on the fade. So I'm just gonna fade that out. I took the half off. I opened the clipper all the way, and now I'm just gonna fade this line out. Right below each time, a little bit lower. So now I'm just gonna put the 1 on, all the way open. I'm gonna go right below that white guard that I used. Close it a little bit. All the way closed now with the 1. And now I'm just gonna put that white guard back on and just kind of flick this area out. I'm just gonna repeat the same exact steps on the other side.
Are you doing anything with the top?
I love the top how it is, bro. Kind of want to leave it, unless you want to cut it. I can texture it or something. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think it just needs a little,
trim?
yeah, a little sort out.
So what do you think of your scars?
Me?
Yeah.
Don't care anymore.
You ever think about micropigmentation?
No, I haven't, no.
You ever heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah. But, can't.
Character.
There was a time,
Says the man with no scars.
I got tons of scars in the back. I just tattooed over them.
especially like, I've got this one here. This is the only one that used to bother me a lot. Because this is actually, I was playing football, soccer, you guys call it.
What is it?
Some guy had butt me, I was going back to headbutt the ball and this guy clashed heads with me. And I had like a instant like
Smoke.
Yeah. And then there was no skin breakage, but for some reason I've got a scar. He killed all the follicles.
Crazy. You didn't have any cut there.
No. Yeah. So I went to the hospital. I had to stay there overnight because of concussion and shit. I had like this big thing here, but no skin breakage, nothing. And then the hair never grew back there.
So now I'm just gonna go through the whole fade and just kind of clean it up, mess with it a little bit. This is a similar clipper. It's basically the same thing. It's just this is on a cord, and those aren't. Those are wireless clippers. So I just like to go through, corner it, lighten it up in certain areas where it needs to be before I break out the shears.
What do you use a brush?
Brush is easier to get the hair out of here. So his hair is so dense that when I fade it and I cut, this hair will fall into this hair. And with a comb, it's a little bit harder. So with a brush, you can kind of go sideways and it comes right out, as opposed to brushing down. If you go sideways, it comes right out. Tip for the viewers. I'm just gonna cut on an angle to try to get this hair closer to this hair on the side that we're trying to grow out. I'm gonna pull it out sideways. Some thick hair, dude. It's crazy. God bless you, bud.
What are you trying to do? Pull it off? They say it's a clay, but when you open the thing, it doesn't look anything like clay. But I use when I want to style it like that, I use sea salt spray, but then sometimes to hold it through the day, if I'm going out for a long time, I use Schwarzkopf, like it's orange stuff. It's they say it's a clay. It's quite cheap, but it works good on my hair.
So I'm just gonna lightly shape up the hairline to enhance this part. I like how it's dark around the edges. You want me to leave the cheeks natural, bro?
Yeah.
All right.
Looks sick, bro. Looks good. I feel fresh now.
Fresh, baby. For some seafood.
Some nice food.
Ocean Prime. Bingo. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to describe this. All right, let me know when you're ready. What's up, guys? It's Jake the Barber, and I'm here in Austin, Texas, and I'm here with my friend Spencer, and today we are going to do a one clip on top, a mid-skin fade, and we're going to do some beard work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get my wand, and I'm just going to cut the top to my desired length. So when I buzz the top, I like to, I'll start, but I really like to double check because if you look, there's always going to be hairs that you miss. So I like to just really focus on the top. It seems like an easy task, but there's so much hair and there's so much to miss. So next I'm going to get my lever clipper. I'm going to start from the arch all the way closed. I usually will start with like a mid-skin fade. This arch right here usually is a good tell. And I'll always dip it just like a little bit in the back to follow the contour of the head. So what I'll do is after I do that, I'll check both sides and make sure they're both aligned. So like I'll look from the back, but usually it's pretty accurate, and it's nothing you can't fix. As long as you don't go up super high on one side and, you know, regular on the other. So now what I'm gonna do is take my detailer and I'm gonna get rid of all this stubble before I use a shaver. And what I'm doing with this detailer, I really just want to make sure I stay like a 1/4 inch below this line. And that's where the fade's going to really start. I'm going to use the shaver, and I'm going to go just below the line that I put in with the detailer. And with this tool, I really like to start at the bottom and make sure all this is bald completely before I work my way up. Because if I start in the middle, I might focus more on this area, and this area will still have stubble and you won't realize. And as I go up with the shaver, I really like to switch to just using the corners to feather this in. Because this is an easy tool to leave a line in the fade with. So I like to really just feather it in towards the top. So now I'm going to get my adjustable clipper, I'm going to open it all the way up, and I'm going to go up about 1 inch. And as I get towards the top, I just like to flick it outward just a little bit, because I don't want to create too much of a hard line. I'm going to close it gradually as I go down. And I'm just focusing on one side right now, just so I'm not chasing a line around the head. I'm just knocking out one piece at a time. Now my clipper is all the way closed. I'm just using my corners for this. And now I'm just going to work on blending this area to the top. Now you can see this hair right here is a little bit darker than this hair, so you might have to go just a little bit shorter than I typically would, just to make it look like it blends. I'm going to throw my one back on and just make sure all this hair is cut. And put my half clip on and just open it just a little bit. All right, now I'm going to work on this area. And I'm really just repeating the steps I took on the other side. And this is just trying to feather all this in, because the hair is just different shades, so you have to just mess with it as you go. I'm just going to get my detailer and clean up these areas towards the bottom. All right, so now I'm just going to shape up these corners right here. All right, so now we're gonna take a 1 on the beard. We're gonna leave the mustache longer, but we're gonna have a really short beard with a sharp line and just get some of this hair off of the mustache. So I'm gonna take the 1. So now I'm just gonna blend these sideburns into the beard because there's still kind of a hard line right there. So I'm gonna close my clipper. I'm just gonna open it gradually as I go and just use my corners and just feather this down right here. All right, so now I'm gonna get my detailer. I'm just gonna shape the beard up. So now what I'm gonna do is get my shaver. I'm gonna bring this right up to the line that I just created. So now I'm just gonna work on the mustache before I do the shape up. But before I do that, I'm gonna spray the beard line with hairspray and let that dry. And I'm gonna just take a little bit off, and I'm gonna just freehand this, but I'm gonna use my finger as a kickstand basically for this clipper. Combing as I go. So now that the mustache is complete, I'm just gonna do this nice sharp straight razor line. So now I'm gonna finish off the mustache with a little utility balm. Just wanna get a little bit. I really wanna make sure I evenly distribute this product. What's up everybody, it's Jake the Barber and I'm here at the Beardbrand studio in Austin, Texas, and I'm here with my boy James, and today we're going to do the crop with a skin fade, and we are going to shape up the beard. So for this style, the first thing I'm going to do is wet down the hair. I kind of like to cut the top first for this style. Since it's worn forward, I'm just going to wet the hair. Now I really like to, when I wet the hair down, lay down the crown. And that way I'm not just chopping the crown off. I know what I have to leave longer, and I know what I have to take shorter. I want to stay away from this area, because I don't want to cut this too short by accident.
for the crop, this is a really important area. You don't ever want to chop too much. So I'm just going to start over here on the side of the head. I'm going to take some length off. Not too much because this is a heavy look. Remember, staying behind the front. Just taking a little bit of length off as I go. And this doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to add a lot of texture to this haircut. So you really don't have to cut and then cross-check and take up a lot of time making sure the whole top is even, because this is a really choppy, like rigid look. So now that I lost some length, I'm just gonna go back. I wanna comb super deep, and I'm gonna have my fingers really low, and that way I can add nice big pieces of texture. So this is just how I do the front on these style haircuts. I'm gonna go in. After that's out of the way, I'm gonna go back in with my shear, and I'm really just gonna point cut this whole front. Go back and forth a couple times. Give this a more natural look. I'm just gonna slide cut the top while I'm here and I have my shears out. And you really wanna make sure you're opening and closing your shear while you're doing this, because if your shears aren't too sharp, this can be really uncomfortable for your client and it can pull hair. Now that that's over with, I'm gonna put my 2 on, and I'm gonna take this 2 pretty high. Just rocking it off the side of the head. I'm gonna take my clipper all the way closed. And I'm gonna take this fade pretty high, and I'm gonna angle it a bit, so I'm gonna start from the arch and then drop it down just a bit. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. I'm just gonna get rid of this hair. I'm gonna pull the ear down, make sure I get all these little hairs down here that like to hide right here. While I'm here, shake the corner up just a little bit. Got the shaver. Start at the bottom. And the reason I like to start at the bottom is because you see how powerful this tool is. This line right here is almost impossible to get out with anything else but what you put it in with. So, especially if you're using both heads, if you use one, it's a lot easier to fade it out. And you would just get this line out with the same way you would get a line out in a fade. You just want to flick your wrist and use the corners when you get up towards the top. But I really like to stay below this area so I have room to get this line out. When I get up towards here, I really just use the corners. And when I get up towards here, I really like to take a lot of the pressure off too. I apply a lot of pressure down here, and I apply a lot less pressure up here. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I get my clipper, I close it all the way, I put the half guard on, move the ear out of the way, go up almost an inch, and I follow the same pattern that I put in with the 2 initially and the skin line. I always wanna keep the same pattern. Same shape, same pattern, and that way the fade will follow gradually. I'm gonna keep on the same side. Take that off, the half off, open my clipper all the way up. I'm just gonna go right below that. Close a little bit more. Close it all the way. Throw my 1 on, all the way open. I'm gonna go right below where I put the 2 in. Stay on this side. Close it a little bit. Close it a little bit more. Close it all the way. Just using my corners. I hear the hair cutting. But for this look, I like to give a really drastic, minimal transition fade. I like to go from super short to super heavy. So this, I'm definitely gonna need to use my corners. I'm gonna open it all the way back up. Little by little. I'm gonna take my guard off, and I'm just gonna use my corners. I'm gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. Have both sides meet the back. I'm gonna go into where my half was. Take it up, same steps. And usually when I have this, when I'm putting my step in with the half, I always have the 1 in my hand, just so I can get right to it.
Timing is a big thing for me. I like to stay on time. It's really important to my clients. You know, everyone has stuff to do. Nobody wants to wait around, so I don't like to take all day on a haircut. The 1 is on, it's all the way open. Going right below that 2. Rocking my clipper in a C-stroke motion. Closing my clipper as I go down the fade. I'm just giving this U shape. So I'm going back and forth as I close my clipper. Close it a little bit more. All the way. I'm going to open my clipper without any guards on it. I'm just going to corner all this, poke some holes in the fade, break up any lines. So now I just have to blend the fade into the top. So before that, while I have my clipper in my hand, I'm just going to taper out the sideburns while I have this tool in my hand. Just really delicate process, using the corners of my clipper. Not taking any big chunks out. Keeping the taper pretty high. Now before I get to the blend, I'm just going to shape the beard up. Pretty average, pretty simple, nothing too crazy, nothing too sharp. Gonna get rid of some of these hairs. Take it off the lip. Hit the beard line with a little shot of hairspray. Put a straight razor. Let that dry while I blend the top. And you can see what needs to be cut. And I really like to use shear over comb for this. It's a very controlled technique. Whereas the clipper over comb, very unforgiving. It's a really delicate area. It's a lot easier to take a chunk out of the fade by accident. And I usually do the same thing I do while fading with shear over comb. I like to do one side at a time and then meet in the middle. I don't know if it's just a habit I developed. There's really no reason I do it. Because this technique is so slow anyway. It's not like I'm saving any time. I just like to do it. I guess it's a habit I picked up from fading that way as well.
Just gonna add some final texture to the perimeter of the haircut. This is a really easy technique, just a shear over comb style texture. Just be careful you don't hit your comb with the shear. Now for this particular style, since it's not really long, I'm gonna apply the styling, evenly distribute it while the hair is still moist. Really want to get it in there. Since this haircut is really based on texture, I'm gonna hit it with the sea salt before I blow dry. Really hit it with the sea salt. This is gonna give a really nice finish. So now I'm just gonna finish it with blow dry. One hand I'm blow drying, the other working it through the hair. Cool. Yo, what's up everybody? It's Jake the Barber and I'm here at Beardbrand Studios with my friend Daniel. Today we're going for the big chop. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, since we're getting rid of most of this, is I'm just gonna get this hair together. Get it out of my way. I'm just gonna chop it off.
Oh, man.
All right, now that most of that's out of the way, I'm gonna section it off. I'm gonna start my fade. So I'm gonna take my clipper all the way closed. And I like to keep it on one side. So I'm gonna start down by the ear. I'm gonna bring it right up to where the arch would be at the top. Go for more of a higher fade. And when I'm cutting, I really like to adjust the head, move the head placement, so I'm not moving all around. Make the client work for me, make my life a lot easier. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Now that we have our guidelines set in, I'm gonna take my clipper. This is a detailer. It's almost completely skin, but it's not quite skin yet. I'm gonna take all this off. And when I do this, I really like to stay below this line. I don't want to go up into this because I'm going to create a line. It's kind of hard to get out. So I'm going to keep it about 1/4 inch below. So after all that's gone, I'm just gonna dust off the head. And I'm gonna use my foil shaver. And because I took this down to stubble, I can bald this out. If it's not completely stubble and there's still long hair, this clipper actually won't cut the hair. So it has to be super short. I'm just gonna take this.
And I'm gonna keep it below what I just did with the other clipper. So I went 0, detailer, now shaver. And I'm just dropping a little bit each time. All right, so now I'm gonna start the fade. I'm gonna take a half clip, I'm gonna put it on my clipper all the way closed, and I'm gonna go up almost an inch. And when I fade, I really like to just keep to one side, and that way I'm not jumping back and forth and losing where I'm at. I can really concentrate on one area, and it's also a lot faster. I just keep it super controlled in this area. So I'll do all my steps to this side. Take the half off, open my clipper all the way up, and I'll go right below that line. Close it a little bit, and I'll drop down just a little bit. So now my clipper's all the way closed, and as you can see, I just fade down and I close my clipper a little bit each time. And that way I'm not chasing a line all the way up the head. And then I'll go back and I'll just kind of corner it very lightly. And at the end of the haircut, I'll go through with my detailer and clean up any areas that need to be cleaned up where the skin meets the actual fade. But for right now, making it look as best as possible without taking too much time. Now I'll put my 1.5 guard on my clipper, but I'll have my 1 in my hand. Move this out of the way. I take my 1.5 up just a little bit, just about the same length I took the half clip up. Take my 1.5 off, put my 1 on, and I'll open it, and I'll go right below that. Same technique. And for this part of the fade, I really like to just use my corners and rock it back and forth, and that way I'm not really taking big chunks out of this, because you can always take more hair off, you can't put it back. I'll close it a little bit. Put my 1.5 back on. I open it just a little bit. I just want to feather this part out. And for this part, I usually like to leave it heavier and darker up here. So when the head starts to round at the top, I don't like to follow that shape. I like to give it more of a boxed look. So I like this length right here so it falls down instead of rounding up. I'm just gonna clean that up just a little bit with the corner. And then I'm gonna attack the other side with the same steps I took. I'm gonna work with the back. I'm gonna make these two sides meet. Don't make
like any sudden movements here. Now I'm just going to adjust where this hair is. That way I can work on the back. Put my half back on. Close it. Go right to where I put the half in on each side. We're just going to make these two sides meet. Take the half off, open it all the way up. And we're just going to fade downward. Take my 1.5 guard, close it. Open. Just meeting both sides. Close just a little bit. And just make sure you can always hear the hair cutting, because if you can't hear the hair cutting, it's not doing anything. All the way closed. Take my one off, all the way open, kind of use the corners. Just using my corners, kind of picking at the fade, cleaning up some dark spots. Can be a bit deceiving because the hair is a couple colors. So it's dark in some areas, it's light in other areas. You're just kind of using your finesse with the clipper and you're being cautious. That's why you're only using the corner. You don't want to go in like this and take a big chunk out and then have to redo the fade. Right now we're just going to go in. This is the same clipper. That clipper's just kind of hot from using it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to taper out these burns, lighten it up a little bit. And for this, I don't like to do too much. I really don't like to get a clip and go into the beard and take off a lot of this length, because this length makes this look fuller. You know, there's a very full beard. So I really just don't want to do too much. With the beard, a lot of the times less is more. So I'm really just going to do the same technique I did with the fade, but on the beard in reverse. So I'm just going to corner this and like take little pieces out at a time. And remember, you cannot put hair back on. You can only take more off. So be careful with this area. Since this beard already has really good shape, kudos to the barber that cut this before him. Did a great job. I'm really just gonna take some of the stragglers off, and then we'll do a little work to the mustache and we'll do a shape up, but it's a really good beard. So this part is really just, you just have to be tedious and not take off too much. So for this, I really like to have the clipper all the way open. The clipper is such an unforgiving tool. I don't like to have it closed, because one wrong little movement and you can really take a nice chunk out of the beard if they move or you flinch. So I like the clipper all the way open. And this is a great clipper for doing beards. When I do the beard, I really like to come to the side. It's kind of hard to see what you're doing in the front. Come to the side. So now on the other side, I'm just going to do the same thing. Really light. I'm going to open the clipper up. So I'm just gonna double check the beard and I'm gonna comb under and pull down. And this is gonna show a lot of the weight under here. It looks good. There's just a few hairs that I wanna get rid of. But I really like to come up, comb coming up, grab and pull down. Balance my middle finger on the chest, and that way I'm not freehanding it with a shaky hand. And this is going to ensure that I don't cut anything I don't want to cut. Same thing, come back. What I like what the barber did before with keeping this all natural, for the mustache, said he wants to keep it super long, not terribly long, but a slight trim, so I don't want to kill all this length. So what I'm going to do is just comb this down, and instead of going right in, I'm just going to almost like sketch away some of these hairs. Same thing, I'm going to balance with my middle finger and just lightly trace some of these hairs. Comb it down. And I'm always going to comb down after every step I take, because clippers a lot of the time will just push hair out of the way without cutting it. So I want to make sure I'm actually cutting hair. That's why I have this out. I'll shape up. Very light. I like to keep it natural. I'm just gonna kind of clean up the cut before I shear the top and straight razor the beard. Cut this hair out of the way, take a look. Hit this beard right here with some hairspray. And now while that's drying, I'm gonna go in and start cutting the top. Now that we have our guideline in the front, that's what I'm going to follow for the whole top. I see what I need to cut. So now what I'm going to do, I checked it, everything checks out. I'm just going to add a little texture. I'm going to point cut this so it lays nice. Put a new blade in, and I'm just gonna lightly etch this sideburn. And remember, I put the hairspray in. I'll let it dry, so that's actually a layer over the skin. Let's get my detailer, get these hairs up by the eye. So I'm gonna go to my trusty Temple Smoke, my favorite scent from Beardbrand. I'll take a little bit. This is the styling balm. I'm gonna evenly distribute this through my hands. Work it through the hair before I blow dry. I like to put it in before I blow dry. Got this nifty little contraption. Finish off with the Temple Smoke Sea Salt spray. A little mist. Put my blow dryer on cold. Work that through. Cool.